I'm MJ. Welcome to the Blogs for Borders video blog burst. Imagine coming home one day to find a burglar ransacking your house and helping himself to your hard-earned belongings. Your petrified family is tied up on the floor. What would you do? The instinctive response is to kick him the hell out of your house, and that is absolutely the right response. Then you lock the door, breathe a sigh of relief, and you take care of your family. It's the right, the logical, the smart response. But what would you think of someone who didn't lock the door, but rather left it wide open for the criminal to stroll right back in? Let's ask Rolando Mota Campos, an illegal alien from Mexico. He's got something to say on the subject. United States is stupid. I come back every time. And Rolando Mota Campos knows what he's talking about. The 42-year-old scallop boat worker first crossed the border illegally back in 1988. In the 19 years since, he's avoided justice by using false documents under 16 different names. 1992, charged with abduction. 1993, 2 assault arrests and a drunk driving charge. 1995, charged with drunk driving and vehicular assault. 1997, convicted of maiming and drunk in public. 1998, deported and walked back across the border 6 days later, charged with attempted robbery. 2003, deported, re-entered shortly thereafter, 2 arrests for driving without a license and drunk driving. 2004, charged with drunk driving and assaulting his wife and children. 2005, charged with threatening to cut a social worker's head off with a machete, convicted of domestic violence, deported, then used a fake passport to enter illegally at Tijuana. Last week, Mota Campos was sentenced to a 14.5-year federal prison term. His response? A promise to sneak back into our country yet again. It's a joke, the deportation joke to be exact, and Rolando Mota Campos is the poster child. The deportation rate in this country is pitiful, but what really is the point of deporting illegal aliens if we don't shut and lock the door behind them after we kick them out? The victims: 4 Fairfax County, Virginia children. The accused: minor Andres Gonzalez Estrada, illegal alien. The charges: obstruction of justice and 3 counts of aggravated sexual battery. The story: police believe Estrada is responsible for 4 separate incidents of sexual misconduct with 4 different children, a 12-year-old, 2 10-year-olds, and a 9-year-old, including exposing himself and sexual touching in a public library. Thank excellent police work for Estrada being arrested for and charged with these crimes. He was a passenger in a vehicle stopped on a routine traffic stop. The driver was charged with DWI and driving without a license, but separate questioning of all 4 occupants of the vehicle led police to investigate and subsequently charge Estrada for molesting the children. The investigation remains open, and police say further charges are pending. This is not the first time Estrada, a day laborer, has shown his respect for our country by breaking our laws. Neighboring Prince William County has placed a detainer on Estrada for non-compliance with the terms of a suspended sentence he received there. Of course, if our government had been doing its job, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of our country, Estrada wouldn't have been here to commit any crime, including accosting and touching children in a public library, which makes this crime 100% preventable. The victim: an 83-year-old Michigan woman. The accused: Alton Shabi, illegal alien from Albania. The charges: home invasion, kidnapping, and second-degree criminal sexual conduct. The story: on August 26th, Shabi allegedly removed a screen to enter the woman's apartment through the window, then forced himself on her when she refused his demand for sex. A string of other complaints from women at the same apartment complex ranged from peeping Tom incidents to attempts similar to the attack on the 83-year-old woman. Police will continue the investigation as the complaints date back to the same month last year that Shabi himself moved into the complex. After entering the country illegally in 2004, his petition for political asylum was denied, and he has remained in the country in defiance of a deportation order ever since. Of course, if our government had been doing its job, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of our country, Shabi wouldn't have been here to sexually assault an 83-year-old woman or any of his other neighbors, making this crime, like all crimes committed by illegal aliens, 100% preventable. Here at Blogs for Borders, we talk a lot about the negative impact that illegal immigration has on our great country, from an individual American affected by 100% preventable crime, to entire industries being decimated for American workers. And then there's terrorism, like the devastating attacks of 9/11, made possible by our government's refusal to enforce our laws. We recently had the honor of meeting Robert Spencer of Jihad Watch at a DePaul University event, and he was kind enough to answer some questions we had about the connection between illegal immigration and terrorism. Hi, it's MJ with Freedom Folks. We're here tonight at DePaul University of Chicago with Robert Spencer. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you.
Our blog is primarily about illegal immigration, and we secondarily talk about jihad and the topics that you're interested in. Our main question tonight is, what do you see as the nexus between illegal immigration and people coming into this country with terrorism?
Well, I've spoken with people who have property on the Arizona border, and they tell me that they have seen on a more or less routine basis on their property Qurans, prayer rugs, other indications that it's not just Mexicans who are coming up over the border, that the problem of illegal immigration is also a national security issue because the Mujahideen are taking advantage of the vulnerability of the southern border and the northern border for that matter as well, and exploiting it in order to enter the country easily. There have also been some very questionable stories that were reported first in the local media in southern Texas and Arizona of large numbers coming into, crossing the border, being apprehended, but then the stories vanish.
Right.
And I've found that happen more than once, and I think that it's a very strange thing that's going on. It seems as if there are some people, I'm not alleging some kind of a vast conspiracy, but it is very questionable that obviously some people at some level don't want this to be known.
Right. And tonight you mentioned that this president and presidents before him don't get the ideological aspect of it in terms of they're not fighting that. That's not what they're looking at. Does that feed into the fact that that Washington's not doing anything about illegal immigration? If they were as concerned as they should be about that, would they indeed be doing more?
I think that they don't understand. They kind of tend to think that if a Muslim is not actively engaged in terrorist activities and is not actively a card-carrying member of a terrorist group, then he must be a moderate.
Okay.
And that's a ridiculous point on its face. Why would an Iraqi national from a country where we are importing people in large numbers into the country right now on a completely legal basis want to instead come over clandestinely across the Mexican border? Right. Obviously, it's because he doesn't want to be known to American officials. And the obvious implications of that are that he wants to engage in jihad activity. But because these things are not even considered from that angle, this problem is not being addressed properly.
Right. And how big a role... Latino groups sued to stop a new anti-illegal immigration law in Oklahoma. Last week, the judge ruled that the law stands. Drug smugglers fled on foot, then opened fire on a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol helicopter last week after two vehicles carrying $1.8 million worth of marijuana got stuck. Pro-illegal senators want to attach the failed Ag Jobs amnesty to the Farm Bill this week. Be sure to contact all your Congress critters to remind them what you think about amnesty for illegal aliens. Thanks for clicking into this week's episode of the Blogs for Borders video Blogburst. We close this week with a quote regarding a report funded by the National Council of La Raza. ICE spokesman Tim Counts, who may quite possibly make too much damn sense to work for the federal government, had this to say. This report takes the bizarre position that ICE is somehow responsible for family disruption caused by parents who make poor decisions. Law enforcement agencies across the nation arrest people who have children every day. Everyone understands that parents are responsible for their actions and the resulting impact on their families.